meeting for secretarial purposes, but our presentation and questions and answers will be made available to everybody after the meeting in MailChimp and also on the website. So welcome, welcome. Glad to see you all here tonight and hope you are all doing as well as can be expected in these very trying times. But we're glad to see you back at a regular PPCC meeting. The first thing we're going to do is call the meeting to order, which I've done, and have someone read the Community Council mission. So, Quentin, would you like to read that? Oh, he's on mute.
Just give me a moment to unmute and let me pull it up if I can.
Okay, do you want someone else to do it?
I can do it. It's a friendly.
Does someone else want to do it?
Beth Holden Garland off.
Okay, Beth.
The purpose.
But we can't hear you, Beth. The audio is not good.
Sorry, my computer guy just.
Maybe Quentin has it.
Quentin's on mute. Still on mute. Miriam, do you happen to have it in front of you? Shall I read it? I'll read it. The purpose of the Pacific Palisades Community Council shall be to one, be a forum for the consideration of community issues. 2, be an advocate for Pacific Palisades to government and private agencies upon issues where there is broad community agreement, as reflected by 2/3 of the board members voting on any one of those issues at a PPCC meeting. And 3, assist other organizations in the Palisades which want help in accomplishing their objectives or projects which the PPCC determines to support. And now we'll have a roll call, which we haven't had at the last few meetings. Quentin Fleming.
I'm here.
You're here. Beth Holden Garland. You're here. I saw you. Jenny Lee.
I'm here.
Miriam Zara is here. I know Chris Spitz is here. Joanna Rodriguez. Is Joanna here? Cindy Young or Joanna Spack?
Joanna Spack is here.
Okay. Steve Crone. Carol White or Diana Danielle? Diana, you're on mute, but I see you.
Yeah, I'm voting for Steve. He can't be here. He's on a plane.
Okay. Okay, good. Julia Nelson. Robert Trinkeller or Joe Layton? No. Karen Ridgely?
I'm here.
Okay. Kimberly Bloom?
I'm here.
Okay. Lori Kudzel?
Yes, I'm here.
Sharon Kilbride?
Present.
Andrew Wolfberg?
Here.
Is Andrew Wolfberg here?
I'm here.
You're here. James Alexakis?
Good thing.
Valeria Cerna?
James Alexakis is here.
Okay, James, you're here. Janet Anderson? Or Rick McGay? Richard Blumenberg? Or Kevin Niles?
Here.
Great. Eric Dugdale? Or Barbara Cohn? John Evans from Village School?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Courtney Macker?
Trying to get on. She's texting me, so.
Is Courtney on?
She's trying to get on.
Okay. John Patton?
I'm here.
Hey. Hagop Chakarian?
Here.
And Haldis Topple?
Here.
Okay, great. I believe we have quorum. So thank you very much for that. Next, we've had the minutes in the MailChimp attached, and I'm wondering, is there anyone who has an objection to approval of the minutes, of the draft minutes? speak now or forever hold your peace. We're good? Upcoming meetings. We have meetings on the 27th and March 13th. And we don't have an exact agenda yet for those meetings, but they will be publicized ahead of time in MailChimp, so watch out for that. And next, we're going to have a treasurer's report. Jenny?
Hi.
Hi.
As of today, February 13th, we have a bank balance in our US bank checking account of $109,382.18.
Wow.
And the large balance is because we, on January 23rd, received a $50,000 grant from California Community Foundation. We were one of, I believe, like 120 organizations that received part of $15 million going to various organizations around Los Angeles from their wildfire recovery fund. So other than that, which is obviously, you know, a big amount to have to see us through, it really had no conditions, and we can talk more about, you know, what's going to happen with it, but it really had no conditions about how it's used. It could be used for operating costs or really anything. But other than that, we just had the usual few payments that we make and few donations that we get.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda that you all received is general public comment. But because we have some special guests tonight, we are going to save the general public comment for the end of the meeting. And we are going to go directly now to our special guests. And again, I ask when you hear the presentation and you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat so that they can be monitored and we don't ask the same question, you know, repeatedly. You know, they'll be monitored and asked by Miriam and Chris. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Vahid Khorsand, who is president of the LA City Board of Public Works, Jenny Delwood, who is Mayor Bass's deputy chief of staff, Ted Allen, LA City engineer, and
No, I have
designated
my
city debris manager. Make sure you all are on mute if you're not speaking. Julie Allen from LA Sanitation, assistant GM and chair of the Watershed Protection Task Force. So welcome to you all. Vahid and crew, thank you so much for coming tonight. Everybody's anxious to hear from you. So without further ado, we'll get going.
Good evening, Sue. Thank you so much to everyone. Caught us off guard a little bit. We thought we were towards the end, so I know Jenny's not on yet, and Ted is still driving, but Julie and I are on.
Okay.
So we could proceed. It's up to you.
Do you want to wait? If we can stick with the agenda and you can be later.
Ted
Is that
said
better?
he'll be joining in about 2 minutes. He's just logging in, so it's up to you, President Khorsand.
Why don't we go ahead then, since you already kicked this off? Thank you.
Okay.
Julie. My remarks are brief. Just so you're aware, I think Ted and Julie are the ones with really the substance you're looking for tonight. Now, a lot of the questions that have been coming up in the mayor's webinar, they have some answers for, and they're the real experts. And I want to be respectful of your time and making sure you get that information that you've been seeking. I really do appreciate this opportunity, though, to be able to join. I know it's a tough month. It's been a tough 6 weeks. There's a long road ahead. As some of you who have met me know, over the last 6 weeks, we're in it for the long haul. We're here to make sure you get the services you need while recovery is underway. And there are going to be moments that come up like these rainstorms today that will further test the community and the city services and infrastructure we have in place. So I just want to highlight a couple of things before I turn it over to Julie and Ted, just to share a little bit about what has happened today with all of our bureaus. So we have 5 bureaus, there's the Board of Public Works, and then there's, of course, LA Sanitation, Bureau of Engineering, Bureau of Streetlights, Bureau of Street Services, Bureau of Contract Administration. And so today has been a big day. So I just want to highlight some of what the crews have been up to that may not be directly related to the topic of conversation, but it's raining outside, so I wanted to share.
Okay.
So sanitation had 59 crews in the area today responding to flooding and sewer storm drain calls. No impacts on trash collection though, so that's a good sign. I'll let Ted talk a little bit more about what the Bureau of Engineering was up to today. BSL is putting up solar lights in the area. So that goes a long way in making sure that there is resiliency going forward and lights that can be quickly put up. Streets LA has been working with their contractor Clean Harbors to do a lot of debris removal. And they've been really focused on that in terms of also putting in 7,000 sandbags that you may have heard the mayor mention earlier in the webinar this evening. 7,000 sandbags, 2,000 sandbags were delivered to CD11 alone. 1,300 sandbags are at fire stations 23 and 69. There's 9,000 linear square feet of K-rail placed. That's a lot of concrete that's in place just to make sure the hillsides are protected and debris flow is limited. And 600 square feet of tarp has also been placed. Overall, a lot of questions have come up. What's the state of the infrastructure in the Palisades post-fire? The bureaus are still assessing the infrastructure. City teams are inspecting streets, utilities, and drainage systems, which Julie and Ted can speak to a little bit more. And of course, there's immediate repairs that needs to be done. So crews are already fixing some of those urgent issues. So for those of you who still have your home standing and you're going to go move back, or you've already moved back and you want your services to be just as they were before the fires, and we're aiming to get that up and running as quickly as we can. And there will be major upgrades as well that come along in the future, in addition to streetlights. Another thing I wanted to mention before turning it over to Julie and Ted, because I'm not sure if Jenny has joined yet. Jenny Delwood, our Deputy Chief of Staff for Mayor Bass, is the mayor has opened up a one-stop permitting shop at, let me pull up the address in case some of you have missed that. It is 128 Sawtell. So over on the west side, all of the developmental services permitting bureaus and departments will be there just to make sure that anyone who is ready to go can get all the answers they need in one spot and not have to go around making phone calls and trying to get answers. But we're here to help. We want to make sure we get the Palisades back up and running as quickly as we can on the city services side. I am here. I'm going to put my phone number in the chat, my personal cell phone and my email. Feel free to reach out. Like I said, this is a long road, and we are going to be collaborative partners in making sure you get the city services and infrastructure you need. And I hope to come back a little bit more often and just be a resource for any answers, any questions you may have, and provide answers. And sorry I sped through because I just wanted to make sure we get to Julie and Ted and they can provide more details to the questions you have. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Vahid.
Should I go ahead and begin?
Sure.
All right, great. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you tonight. I'll keep my remarks somewhat short. I want to give you time for asking questions that you may have. I'm the assistant director at LA Sanitation, and I'm pleased that you invited us to join you here today to be able to assist you in rebuilding and answering all your questions. So I have two main roles, and one of them is I oversee our sewer and storm drain program at LA Sanitation. So we also have facilities that support your neighborhood. We have sewer pump stations and stormwater pump stations, and they were also damaged in the fire. So we're working on making sure our infrastructure is functional. Some of it's still on generators, but my main role for this particular event is as the Watershed Task Force Manager, and I've been working very closely. All of our teams have in Public Works with both the state Cal OES and the county Public Works on flood control, and we've been ensuring that we meet the mission of protecting life, property, and the environment. So there are several things that we've put in place. Cal OES installed protections for the environment around the catch basins in the neighborhood so that contaminants don't get into the storm drain and go out to the ocean. As President Khorsand mentioned, the City Public Works has been sending field crews out to the field to assess where we might have debris flows and damage, and putting up K-rail and sandbags to help keep the mud flows from traveling. Within sanitation, we also own and operate 18 debris basins in the Palisades area. And what these are, pre-established areas where debris would generally flow from the hillside in through the canyons, and it's captured there so that the water can drain into those debris basins and drain through, but capture the sediment so that we don't get debris flows. So we have 18 of those, and we've been maintaining them. Generally, we do it once before each wet season, but because of the debris flows, we're continuously out there and removing the debris so that they can continue to operate during these storms that are coming back to back. We've also cleaned out the catch basins, all of the catch basins for stormwater, so that the debris doesn't go out to the ocean. And we continue to have crews out in the field to respond to any issues that come up. So those are kind of the main roles of what we've done so far, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have after the rest of the presentations.
Okay, thank you. Is Ted here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Ted Allen, City Engineer with the Bureau of Engineering, City of Los Angeles, obviously. I'm going to talk about debris removal. I'm our debris removal task force lead. And so we've had a lot of great movement this last week, finally progressing to actually seeing things removed, which is great. For the phase, I think you're all familiar with the phases, but I'll give a little background just in case. So there's 2 phases of debris removal. Phase 1 is being done by the EPA. They're making great progress. I think they're more than halfway through the properties now, and you can see the property by property progress on their website. Phase 2, following the EPA, you have 2 options. You can opt in to have the government come in and remove, and that's being done by Army Corps. Or you can opt out to have your own contractors do the work, and there's a process for each. Many of you have already filled out forms on the county website to start one of those processes. On the phase 1, the people opting in, you know, we were hearing, I was with a lot of you a few nights ago, that people have not been hearing back. I filled out the form, but I haven't heard back. And so talked with the county. They are going to contact everyone as they go through for the opt-ins. They have started contacting many people this week, and if you haven't heard from them, you should hear soon. They hired a consultant to help them process these forms, and the consultant is ramping up. A couple of days ago, they were doing 7 per day. Today, I saw it jump to 30 per day just for the Palisades area. So I expect that to go up quite rapidly, but Army Corps is now clearing properties on the phase 2 in the Palisades as well as the Eaton Fire area. And so we expect that to really ramp up quickly as the Army Corps contractors really get going. On the opt-out side, there was a form you could fill out that was available. I guess it's been a couple weeks ago now, but that was really just part 1 of the process. The county did not yet have the second half of that process to actually get your permit to move forward. We heard from them today that they did stand up that second half of that process today at noon. So you can go to the LA County Recovers website if you're interested in opting out. And of course, we've been encouraging everyone to opt in, because if too many people opt out, having too many different contractors will really get quite complicated, but we definitely understand some do want to go that route. You can now go finish that process in the LA County website, and it will give you a permit. When you apply for that second half of the phase 2 opt-out, one of the things it's going to ask you to do is upload a report from a certified asbestos consultant that the site has been cleared of asbestos or it's been tested and didn't have asbestos. So just be aware that, and there's a state website. I don't have the link with me, but we could provide it after. It's in the county's application process. It'll give you the link to that state website. For these certified asbestos consultants, you have to hire a certified asbestos consultant, get a report from them, That report will be uploaded as part of the application process for phase 2. So you can actually do that piece before you get the phase 2 permit. You will need to do that piece before you get the opt-out, of course. I'm talking about opt-out. You'll need to do that before you can do the full application with the county. And then you'll need the name of the hazardous waste licensed contractor that you're going to be using as part of that application process as well. And then a little bit more info. And then it'll just make you aware of the different requirements, dust control and whatnot. And for the city, if you have a protected tree, it'll tell you you can't remove that unless you apply to the city for a tree removal permit, because we want to make sure it's actually dead from the fire before a protected tree would get removed, things like that. And it'll tell you the haul route. Essentially, we want you to go to your contractor to go to PCH and then out to the 10. If you want to do a different route, then you can, but you would need to apply with DOT and get that route approved. And so that's kind of an overview of the process, but the key takeaway is the opt-ins are being processed, and if you haven't heard, you will hear from the county soon, and they are being handed over to Army Corps. And the opt-out, you can now do that second half of the application to enable you to start the work. And my understanding from the county is as you fill in all that information for the opt-out, it will give you the permit immediately, provided you had uploaded that certified asbestos report. So you should be able to move pretty rapidly if you have all the information you need. And that's the end of my report. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, I'm wondering, does Jenny have something to report to us before we get to the questions? Jenny, are you here?
Hi, can you hear me, Sue?
Yes, hi.
Christine, hi, everybody, hi. I am in a car, so I will make my update brief. But this week, of course, a couple of big points of news. Folks should know DWP restored all power in the Palisades, so that's great news. And there should be door hangers or little flyers left that are on everybody's property indicating that power has been restored. Furthermore, there is a new set of centers opening. Vahid mentioned the one-stop rebuilding center on Sawtelle. I think Marianne is going to put the information into the chat on that one-stop center that is for all permitting for rebuilding. Of course, we know that phase 1 and phase 2 needs to be completed before any rebuilding occurs, meaning the EPA, household hazardous materials needs to be completed, as well as we need to complete debris removal. But then phase 3 occurs, and that's when you get to actually rebuild. And so in a parallel way, you can go ahead and get started on understanding the process of rebuilding, if that applies to you, as well as getting your permits in order so that when phase 2 is completed, you can immediately begin phase 3. So that one-stop center is now open 10 a.m. To 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, as well as on the weekends, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The other centers that have opened include the impacted worker and family recovery centers. These are for individuals who have a significant economic impact based on the fires. So individuals who may be residents, small business owners, and also those that may not be residents but work for residents. So it could be housekeepers, it could be other types of contractors, it could be anybody that may work in your home. So we invite folks to share the information about a webinar that we're doing on Tuesday, February 18th, where we will go into details about the types of resources, cash assistance, rental assistance, various types of social services, as well as support, case management, and so forth for all kinds of resources, employment, cash assistance, rental assistance, etc. These centers, there are 4 of them that we opened today. We'll do a grand opening on Tuesday, followed by a webinar at 5 p.m. Tuesday, February 18th. And those centers are located in Loyal Heights, South LA, the Valley and Silmar, and West LA in Culver City. all open for City of Los Angeles residents who may work in the Palisades or in the Eaton Fire area, but who have been impacted by the fires in an economic way and need specific assistance. With that, I'll go ahead and stop and answer any other questions that folks may have. Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to also provide an update. Clearly, everybody knows there is rain right now. We are experiencing some degree of mudslides and debris flow. PCH is closed. We recommend highly that no one actually go into the Palisades at this point, but we are still issuing resident passes. Contractors are not going to be allowed in the Palisades at all. And PCH is a hard closure. PCH is only open right now for utility workers and emergency workers. That's it. Everybody else is encouraged not to go into the Palisades. However, technically you can go if you have a resident pass. Contractor passes will not be available today for the rest of the time that the Disaster Recovery Center is open, or tomorrow. That's Friday, the 14th of February. Please be safe. There is an evacuation order for certain residents in the Palisades, as well as certain residents in Mandeville Canyon and certain residents around the Sunset and Hearst fires. Only about 100 or so residents have a mandatory evacuation order in all of those areas. However, there is a evacuation warning for a broader area. Please stay tuned to the fire department and lacity.gov for more information and the maps specific to the evacuation areas. And with that, I'll pass it back to the facilitation team and answer any questions.
Okay, thanks. Miriam, did you want to start with the questions? Does anyone, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. But we're going to start with Miriam because we have a few questions that I've already seen.
Yes, of course. So there's a question about the Sawtell Plan Check one-stop permitting, Vahid, that's being launched on Monday. The community was under the impression that there was going to be a one-stop plan check permitting location at the park. Is that still going to happen at some point in the future at the Palisades Recreation Center?
That is still the long-term plan. Jenny turned on her camera, so I'm going to let her chime in on that.
Yes, that is the plan. However, at this time, because of the restricted access, we did not feel that that was the right place for the center. Additionally, that the Recreation Center, Palisades Rec Center, is being used for the utility, the utility workers at this point in time. And so that is the priority for the utility workers to be able to be dispatched from the Palisades Rec Center. So for now, we are located at Sawtell. And if and when we're able to reopen PCH and we have greater access to the area, we will and we intend to still plan to move that center. But right now we have utility workers there as well as the closure, so it's very difficult to reach.
And if I could just add to that, Miriam, so one of the key components of that is, right, it's contractors who are hired that are probably going to go to the one-stop center. So it just gives them easier access if it's at Sawtell for the moment than at the recreation center.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. I think you all know there's also a park board meeting coming up on February 18th. I think the park board is going to be focused on seeing how they can bring the park back to park status. So all of that, I'm sure, will be balanced and weighed. Question for Mr. Allen. You said that if people opt out of phase 2 and they hire their own contractors, those people have to either go through the approved haul route or they have to get a permit for a different haul route. You said that the route that's been permitted is it's 2 PCH and over to the 10. My question is 2 PCH from Temescal Canyon only or 2 PCH from anywhere?
At this point, it's not specified, so it was just the intent to take kind of the most direct route from wherever the property is down to PCH.
Okay.
And then down to the 10. But if you have any questions, there's a contact number for DOT But yeah, we didn't specify the route to PCH at this point.
Okay,
We-
there
we-
was
Oh, sorry,
speculation
go ahead.
to the use of Chautauqua for heavy machinery or just the frequency of trips that would be going up and down Chautauqua.
Yeah, right now we don't have a high volume of opt-out, so there's a lot more focus on what routes the Army Corps trucks, because they have many times more trucks, and so DOT is working very heavily on a circulation map with them, and as they go work through that, then maybe we'll give more detail on the opt-outs. But right now the opt-outs are less than 100 total for the whole area, so we don't expect it to be a lot of truck traffic for each individual one.
Okay, good.
Last question that I have, and then we'll hand it, Sue can
We have
hand.
a few hands up.
Okay. Water. So according to people who access their homes today, Vahid, there is water in the Palisades. Hillsides are seeping some water and some backyards seem to be submerged. Any word as to what's going on in the Palisades?
I'll let Julie or Ted take that one.
Yeah, we definitely did have a high intensity rainfall today, and we were expecting with the burn scars that we would be getting some debris flow. So our system is functioning properly, but we have had some debris flows on Palisades Drive that were cleaned up, and we do expect that there may be some flooding and additional debris flow that should eventually start to drain out once the rain intensity goes down. But if there's anything in particular that you're noticing, please feel free to reach out to 311, or I can give you a different phone number to call if you have flooding concerns, and we would be happy to send someone out to take a look.
Okay, thank you. Questions? First, Carl?
Sorry. Yes, I'm curious why urban forestry has not been included yet. I talked to the tree czar today, as she's called, and she said that they're still trying to get answers, and they do not know who has been cutting down street trees.
Carl, I missed the first part of your question. I apologize.
I said urban forestry does not seem to be included in the actions that are occurring. I talked to the head of urban forestry today, and she says that they are still not in the loop, and they have a lot of questions that they have not gotten answers to, nor do they know who has been cutting down parkway trees.
I'm gonna give you my email. I thought I could put it in the chat, but I'm just gonna write it next to my name. I was not aware that anyone was cutting down street trees. It could be the EPA or Army Corps. I know they've been marking up trees that are a danger. My understanding is urban forestry has not gone in there yet, just because it is not considered one part yet of needing to be in there yet, because the Palisades has not been fully open. I think you spoke to Rachel, correct?
That's correct.
Right. I know I've been speaking with her about the future of what trees should look like in the Palisades, not necessarily what the current state of the trees are. I know EPA has been marking some trees that are, like I said, that are considered dangerous or need to be removed. Ted, is that something you're aware of too?
Yeah, I know Anna from Streets LA has been very involved, and I thought Rachel was invited to their tree coordination meetings also. I had a conflicting debris removal, so I wasn't able to make it, but I know they had a tree coordination meeting today and one last week. So yeah, I know that Anna's been in a lot of our meetings with and talking with EPA about the tree symbols they're using and what they mean and what not. So but I don't know all the details of where that coordination's at.
I highly encourage that you interface with her as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you guys very much. I'm going to move
Thank
on
you.
to other questions. Lori?
Yes, hi, thank you, Sue. I have a question, and I don't know if it can be answered here, but a lot of residents are very concerned that the Army Corps of Engineers, when they're done taking the 6 inches of soil that they're going to take, that afterwards they will not be retesting, or sorry, they won't be testing the soil after that. So they're going to take the 6 inches and then not test the soil after. And residents are really worried and very concerned that there's no way for us to tell if the soil is still toxic or if more soil needs to be taken. The answer given last night on Congressman Sherman's town hall was by Bob Fenton, and he said, the regional director for FEMA here, he said that since there's no baseline testing, it would not be helpful to do testing afterwards. And he also said that past fires have shown that 6 inches is enough. I just want to let you know that residents are very, very upset about this. I've tried to find out how residents can voice their opinion on this. I sent a few emails today, but I have not been able to find, and I also called FEMA 3 different times, was given 3 different numbers. I just don't know how to tell residents to voice their concern about this and to see if there's any way that this can be changed. Thank you.
I noticed Jenny has her hand up. Jenny, do you have an answer for that?
I have a quasi answer, which is Mayor Bass is aware of this, and she is going to be advocating with FEMA so that we can identify some type of alternative. We understand that that's not part of the Army Corps scope, but as of today, both Ted and Vahid were both there as well in a general manager's meeting. This was brought up to the highest level of leadership to the mayor herself. And to a coordinating group around recovery with various general managers, and it was something that we all agreed Mayor Bass will go ahead and work with our federal partners and FEMA to try to find a solution for this matter, meaning if it's not going to be Armored Corps, then who can test the soil as has been done in previous emergencies. So thank you for raising the concern. We hear you, and we're going to take action and hopefully be able to find a solution as soon as possible.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Okay, we're gonna have a question from Sharon Kilbride and then Jerry, and then we're gonna take one from the chat. So Sharon?
You said Sharon, not Karen, right?
Sharon Kilbride.
That's what I thought.
Where'd she go?
She's still on.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I just wanted to voice my concerns on the flood control that runs through Santa Monica Canyon. About 20 minutes ago, before this meeting, I was out because the flood control right now is about almost 3/4 of the way full. I've lived here. I'm a 6th generation Santa Monica Canyonite. The color of the water is black soot. I've never seen this color in my life, and it's all the fire debris that's washing through here.
It breached. Sharon, do you know it breached? And
Okay.
we have flooded homes, and we have people trapped up in the Upper Canyon.
Yeah. And so what I'm saying is all this water, it's at a high level right now. I haven't seen anybody doing anything about it. It's actually splashing up onto people's home, and there's black soot all over their homes at Short Street and in Trotta. And it's all going into the ocean because the diversion that has been placed by the Golden Bull is overpowering it. So all this water is going into our ocean, into our beaches, into our water. It's polluting us. Is there anything that's being done to remediate this situation? And as Julie stated, it's overflowing in the lower creeks up in the Rustic Canyon area. So my question is anybody doing anything about this? I mean, why is this happening? I've sent the videos over to Tracy Park's office and to a few of the members on this call, but it's really a devastation. It's unacceptable. So what can be done about this? I mean, the ocean's already going to be polluted, obviously, and it'll take years to remediate this. So what do we be doing about it? Can anybody answer that?
I can start a response to that one. So we are working closely with the county, who is leading the effort to they maintain the Santa Monica Channel. They did try to put check dams in the channel to try and slow down the debris, but as you saw, there's a lot of sediment and fire debris in the channel. Unfortunately, there's no way to stop the flow at this point, but we have been working with the county and the state on testing the debris as it gets to the beach and starting a debris cleanup process with county beaches and harbors. We're also testing the water frequently, and so far it hasn't shown a lot of high levels of contamination as far as asbestos and heavy metals any more than background levels. But unfortunately, there's no way to keep all the debris out of the water. It's just too much rain and water coming at the same time. So we're making sure that we're testing it and doing everything we can to contain it and remove the debris once it gets to the beach.
Okay. Thank you very much. And then we have one question from Jerry. I see all of your hands, but we're going to move to the chat question and then come back to you. So Jerry.
Thanks.
Well.
I know that phase 2 cleanup focuses on residential properties, but our condo, which survived the fire, is adjacent to the commercial districts on Villa de la Paz and Antioch. So my question is, who's responsible for the cleanup of the commercial properties?
I'll take that one. So it's my understanding that the commercial properties are not eligible for the government program for phase 2. So the owner of the commercial properties would be responsible for that cleanup.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Chris, do you have one from the chat to ask?
Yeah, sure. Let's go to the first one. The question has to do with disposal of waste and ash and so forth. It reads, LA Sand staff have advised that still standing homes and community parcels may dispose of fire ash and debris in the black bin waste stream. However, untested fire ash and debris, even on a parcel ineligible for the debris removal program, may contain constituents regulated by TSCA, like asbestos and RCRA, like toxic metals. Is this still the guidance from LA Sand? And is there any concern about the impact to receiving landfills?
I can take that one because we discussed it a lot in our debris removal task force. So this came out of a county health guidance that was issued. And essentially they recommended that structural ash, where, you know, structures, buildings had burned down, that structural ash is what's being handled under the phase 2 cleanup. But those properties that didn't have structures burned down, or even the ones that did, but outside of that structural ash footprint, the county guidance was that could be put in the regular trash stream.
I have a question for you guys.
Who's speaking?
My name is Joseph. I'm I'm a demolition contractor. Just looking at the Palisades recently, and what I'd like to know is what happens when the facilities fill up with the maximum amount of debris that they can take from these job sites, when, you know, the closest one is Calabasas that can take hazardous materials, and then it'll, you know, progress to Silmar, and I forget the other one right off the top of my head. But then once you get past those 3 facilities, the closest one is San Bernardino, and I can't remember the other ones off the top of my head. But what happens when they meet the maximum tonnage of clearing debris and we haven't cleared, you know, all of these job sites?
The county's been the lead on those discussions with the landfills, but my understanding is those the properties that are part of this fire in the phase 2 removals and whatnot, a lot of those landfills have special exceptions to be allowed to take more if it's coming from one of those sources. So I think, like, once you get your phase 2 opt-out permit, or and Army Corps is doing it under the phase 2 opt-in, they're able to take more than the normal standard. For the commercial, I would have to check with the county to see how that is handled. I don't have a good answer for you on that. I can check on that.
Yeah, I was just curious. I appreciate
I'm gonna
it.
have, Joseph, I'm gonna have to move on. We need to get to questions in the chat and with people's raised hands. So I'm gonna go next to Karen Ridgely and then Dave Card.
Okay, hold on. Yes, okay. You can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, my house is still standing and thus ineligible for the phase two, according to the Army Corps leader. My house and the neighbors who are below street level in a canyon are the only survivors for blocks and blocks and blocks around. And on street level, everything for many blocks is just burnt to rubble. When phase two has cleared all the flat lands on the street level, what will be the toxicity of those properties? Are they toxic free? And I want to know, for me, who's going to guarantee my property is toxic free since I'm ineligible for the phase two? And later there was comment that people ineligible or opting out have to get an asbestos certified contractor to go in and do whatever work on their property. Well, I don't have construction issues, but I do have to know that I am going to be safe living in the property if I were to return. And that seems to be 18 months ahead at minimum. And so what am I to do about guaranteeing my breath, my breathing air is toxic free?
So I'll
That's
start with the latter part of the question first, just to make sure I didn't confuse things. So you would not have to hire an asbestos consultant. Only the people opting out that are eligible for the phase two would need to do that. The ineligible people don't have to do anything. But right now, to Jenny's point, if there may be further discussions of testing, and so that's still something the mayor's going to pursue as to whether we can get some kind of testing program. But short of that, then you could hire someone to test your property after to see. But right now, that's not part of the FEMA program to test. And I think the discussions are mainly around testing the ones where Army Corps is doing the cleanup. Can we get testing after that? I'm not sure about the properties not in that program, whether that would be part of that or not.
So EPA doesn't have any testing for those of us still standing, or any person in the government who can come in and do that testing for us?
Not that I'm aware of. That's not my area of expertise. So maybe in one of the future meetings when they're there. But from what I've heard from them, I don't think that's in their plans.
Okay, I think we would need something to show insurance companies then that we cannot be forced back on the property until they are adequately demonstrated to be safe. And with all the ones on the street level being bulldozed and air full of the toxicity, it's not going to be a place to live until all of that is completed. That's it.
That may be worth checking too. Maybe some of the insurance companies would cover testing, but I'm not an expert on the insurance coverage.
Okay, thank you. We need to move to another question. Karen, sorry. We're going to move to Dave Card.
Hi, I'm Dave Card. I'm president of the Palisades Forestry Committee and a member of this council board. And as an alternate, I'd just like to ask Ted Allen, you've done a great job building Potrero Canyon over the decades. And my concern is it has a recirculating pump. And I hope that pump is not recirculating the sludge from the ash runoff as it drains through the canyon. Because that would do great harm to the riparian area that is alive and well in Potrero Canyon Park, George Wolfberg Park and Potrero Canyon. And also it will be a big burden on the city budget if Coastal Commission finds at the end of the 5-year maintenance period that it's not doing so well because some of the ash was pumped back in, like the Black River flowing down through Santa Monica Canyon. It's the same or similar watershed that comes through Potrero. So if you could answer that, I'd appreciate it. And also, just one more point quickly. I know I'm on the agenda later, but I bet some of the chief administrators that are on the line now probably won't hear it. One of the things I'm going to be talking about is we need to save as many trees as possible in the Palisades for all the benefits that they give. A lot of them may look charred, may look bad, but they can grow back. Most of them can. And the trees did better than the houses and protected some of the houses. And that's something that I know Rachel Malarich is very aware of and has been pushing, but I wanted to make sure you guys heard it at the highest level, because we want to protect the trees from not only homeowners and developers who want to just bulldoze everything, but also from the Army Corps of Engineers and their contractors who may have not so much regard for the street trees and for the private trees and the park trees. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that one out of order too. I've been in many meetings with Ana Tabuena-Ruddy with EPA and with Army Corps, with her saying exactly that, and especially the trees native to our area, many of them may hold up to fire better than a lot of people would expect, and wanting to make sure they don't cut down trees that are could survive. And so she's been very involved with them. I know Rachel has been in, I think, some of the coordination meetings, but Anna's definitely been conveying that message very strongly to EPA and Army Corps. And technically, Army Corps really shouldn't be cutting down street trees because they're in a private property debris removal program. So they're supposed to only be working in private property. Maybe there would be limited exceptions with them or EPA if the tree looks like it's going to fall onto someone, but definitely shouldn't be cutting things beyond that. And if anyone observes that, definitely let us know. But we're in full agreement with you, and we definitely want to see all the trees that survived remain as much as possible. Yeah. The first question about the George Wolfberg, I'm really glad you raised that, because there was some damage in the park. Luckily, not heavy damage, but we did have some damage. And so the focus was on, we need to line up a project to fix the damage, but I hadn't thought of the recirculating pump. So I'll check into that with our staff and Rec and Park staff and see what they've done and make sure they do the appropriate thing with that.
Thank you
so much. Okay. Now I'm going to call Mia Field for a question.
Hi, thanks, Sue. What is the long-term plan and timing for power lines? Are we going underground? Can we please have confirmation? What is the timing on the sewer, water, power in the burn areas? We've lost our home. We're in the alphabets. What is the plan to bring infrastructure back into the Palisades? And timing, please.
We're not water and power, so I can tell you generally what I know, but not timelines. I know that they have to do a lot of strict testing to get the water to be certified to be allowed to be potable water, used as potable water. And I know they've been doing that testing and they're working through that, but it involves a lot of letting it sit, then testing it, then getting the results. And so they're working towards that, but I think they're at least weeks away. Power's been restored, but in a lot of areas, it's above ground right now. I know that DWP and the mayor, there's a desire to underground more, but I don't know to what extent, and I don't think they have a timeline on undergrounding. I know it's a general desire, though. With sewers, I think, Julie, the sewers are all functioning as far as we know, right?
Yeah, the sewer main infrastructure is functioning. Some of our pump stations are on generators still because we had damage that we're working on repairing. And we're also inspecting some of the sewer lines up there that were not clay. So some of them were plastic. We did have one that melted and we repaired that. So we're going through an inspection program, but as of now, everything is functional on the sewer side.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as part of the private property debris removal program, we've asked the Army Corps to cap the sewer laterals where they come across them so that you won't have debris or dirt going into your sewer lateral, between the time they do that debris removal and when you rebuild eventually.
Okay. Thank you, Ted. Sean Casey, you have a question? Your hand is up.
Hey, what's going on, team? I'm Sean Casey. I'm one of the water resources engineers at Water Earth. I've worked with the city of LA at sanitation. And I guess my question here is really just how can a firm, who specializes in water resources, environmental services, civil engineering, and site design and erosion control, help out the community. We're wrapping up a creek project for the city of Calabasas. We're well connected, with their council and other municipalities in Los Angeles. I hear the community's concerns. We're a smaller firm with PEs and PMs, and I really hear the passion in everyone's voice, and just really want to know how we can aid in the rebuild of the Pacific Palisades if we can at all.
Ted, if you don't mind, I'll take that one. I know you're the man of the hour when it comes to these questions. Sean, I'm glad to hear you want to participate. The board itself, we do all the contracting. We have Ramp LA. At the aforementioned GM meeting that was mentioned, our Bureau of Contract Administration is planning to do a webinar for businesses who'd like to participate. So if I put my email right next to my name, so if you want to email me, I'll make sure you get that information. And if you could share it with any other small businesses, that would also want to participate in helping us out. But there will be a procurement process. We always encourage everyone to go through Ramp LA to get certified and become aware of all of the contracting opportunities that the city has.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to have a question now from the chat, either Chris or Miriam.
Hi, this question has to do with pools. It's been a few weeks where people are asking for guidance on pools. I think it gets kicked up a notch right now because there is some flooding. We're seeing it. There are videos circulating with homes flooding with runoff. So the question, I think, becomes twofold. And it is this idea that there's been inconsistent guidance on disposal of water from pools. And in those pools is significant fire and ash and debris. Question is twofold. With the current impact to wastewater infrastructure, including damaged conveyances like the one with the spill last week on Bienvenida, what is LA Sanitation's current guidance as far as what we should do or how we should drain into the wastewater system? That's one. And then part two of the question is, are wastewater treatment plants equipped to handle the contaminants that may be present in water contaminated by fire and ash and debris? And of course, that's going to get punctuated by the current landslides or mudslides.
Thank you for the question. We were expecting this one, and we have been working with all of our partners on developing guidance. I expect to be able to release it tomorrow. But what we've done is put it into 3 categories. So the first category is for residents who opt in to the phase 2, in which case don't do anything with your pool, allow Army Corps to do what they're going to do with their removals. They said they might use some of the water, they might not. So wait till that phase 2 work is complete. If there's still water in the pool and you need to drain it, then you can follow the guidance that I'll explain shortly. The next option is for people that opt out and plan to do the phase 2 debris removal on their own. Then the contractor that you hire would be responsible for proper removal and disposal of the debris that's in the pool. And then you can follow the guidance if the pool still needs to be drained.
Okay.
The third category is for people whose homes are still standing and are not eligible for the phase 2 debris removal. And in this case, there are 2 different options. The county is recommending that you clean out the pool, and we go through guidance on how that should be done based on the county's guidance. And it would include removing the debris, running the filter, using the proper chemicals to make sure that the pool is clean enough to use. And if you can't go through that process or you don't feel comfortable with that process, we are giving guidance on how to drain the pool if you choose to do so or need to do so. So then getting to the actual protocols of how to drain the pool, we go through basically a step-by-step process of how you remove all the debris through using the pool skimmer, scrubbing the sides, and then you have to either get a pool service to bring a pump out, a sump pump, or you can buy one at a local home supply store, and you get a hose, and you basically connect the submersible pump into the pool and use the hose to connect it to your sewer clean out. And we give guidance on how to find the sewer clean out on your property. And then you run the discharge water into the sewer clean out through a filter screen so that larger chunks of debris are not able to get into the sewer. And we're setting up a process where you notify the city and sanitation when you would like to drain the pool. And we're going to have kind of a reservation system to make sure that we don't inundate the local sewer lines. And within 24 hours, we'll let you know, yeah, you're good to go with your discharge, or you might need to wait a couple of days if you have other neighbors also draining their pool at the same time. So we've worked it out with the capacity of the local sewer lines, as well as the treatment plant.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose?
We have a frozen problem.
I think we got the gist of it though. So the people who've opted into phase 2, their pools will be taken care of by the Army Corps of Engineers. The people who have opted out of phase 2, they'll have to find their own solution through their contractor. People whose homes are still standing will have to hire people, but there will be protocols released. Vahid, she said tomorrow? I think she said tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a draft proposal we're finalizing that we're hoping to have released tomorrow, and we'll send it to you, Miriam Sue, to share, and with other community leaders, we hope that we'll be able to share it on our behalf.
Well, that's great. Good.
One thing I'll add real quick is the way Army Corps is planning to use it, because they need to use a wetting agent to keep dust down during debris removal anyway. So if there's pool water, they will likely use the pool water as a wetting agent so that it's then being removed with the debris. So for those that may opt out, it may be a good idea for the contractor to consider doing the same thing. If they use the pool water to wet the ash, and then that all goes into the debris removal, you're kind of removing both at the same time.
And then quickly, I'll just add, because I think this is where Julie left off, was the second part of that question was the safety of draining your pool. I think sanitation has worked out a way where the system can handle it. That's why there is a reservation system, and that number that will be provided in the info sheet can also provide further guidance as well. But there is a cap on the number of pool drainings that would be allowed to ensure that the watershed is not contaminated.
Okay. And
sorry, I cut off. So there'll be two ways. There's an online form you can fill out or a phone number you can call, whatever is more convenient for the resident to use.
You could drop that in the chat if you wanted to, Julie. The link
It'll come out on the form tomorrow when we release it.
Okay.
And where will that go? I have people wanting to know where are we going to be able to see that?
Sounds like Vahid's sending it to us, right?
Okay, so Vahid will send it to us and we'll get it out.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sure it'll go on the city's fire recovery page too.
Okay.
Okay, well, segues very nicely to that last question, which is there a place online where all of this information, specifically pertaining to the Palisades, but also to Eaton, can be found?
Yes, and Jenny raised her hand too, so I will let our deputy chief respond.
So lacity.gov is currently providing a tremendous amount of information specifically for city residents. For Eaton Fire, you can go to recovery.lacounty.gov. For everything in the city of Los Angeles, you can go to lacity.gov, and there is a variety of links related to all the recovery information that we're putting out in addition to the emergency response information.
Okay.
Sue, may I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
That I actually put in the chat. This is Chris. Some people are asking offline, so I thought I'd ask it here. What is the status of the sinkhole which arose a few mornings ago at Sunset and Las Casas? Does anyone know?
Ted, do you know anything about that?
Yes, this is Karen. It's in area 4, and Daphne.
Oh, wait a minute. I'd like Karen, excuse me. Let's let one of the officials here answer if they can.
I was going to say Daphne was going to talk about it in area 4. Sorry.
I just know that that was the one that was a DWP water main break, right?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, so the normal process with the DWP water main break is that then they work together with Streets LA. Streets LA would look at it and determine the appropriate street repair, and then they would bring in either their forces or a contractor to repair it. So it may take some days, but they have a normal process they work through with the water main breaks.
Oh, you know what? There's one more question in the chat. Joanna Spack.
I have a question in the chat as well.
Yeah, Kimberly, we're gonna call in Kimberly next.
Should we ask the question, Sue?
Go ahead, Chris, and then Kimberly,
Sure,
you're up.
okay.
Just
ask. If a property owner opts out for phase 2, will there be deadlines on when they have to clear their property and how will those deadlines be enforced?
We do expect that city council would enact some kind of ordinance to set a deadline on that. And
People, if you're not speaking, please.
oh, sorry, sorry.
Not you.
I double clicked it. We do expect that city council will enact an ordinance to set deadlines. It's not enacted yet. It was discussed a little bit at the ad hoc committee that I think some of you attended recently. What we did for now is put language for those opting out, the additional city requirements that are attached. It just says that we do expect that there will be a deadline. We don't know what the deadline is yet, but once it's established by city council, then they'll be responsible to meet that deadline.
Okay. Thank you. Kimberly, did you have a question?
I put it actually in the chat, and this was actually directed to the mayor's assistant, who I don't know if she's still on the phone call or not.
Jenny, she's here.
Hi,
I'm here, yes.
Hi, Jenny, thank you. I actually put this question in advance to the mayor's Zoom meeting tonight at 5 p.m. I emailed the question yesterday. I put it in the chat tonight, and unfortunately it was not addressed. So this is the question. There are many day workers in Area 5 Alphabet Streets that are not documented legal citizens. Are they eligible for any of the assistance that is being offered at the families impacted centers? They would like to know.
Thank you. Yes, there's a variety of resources available for those that are documented and undocumented. Each is a case-by-case basis based on a variety of factors, including income, as well as family status, family household size. But the great thing about the centers that we're opening, the 4 centers, is that there will be case managers on site to actually walk through every type of resource with an individual. So they don't even have to have a checklist of things that they have to ask about or, know about. We'll just sit down with them and basically say, okay, let's talk about you and your needs. And then we'll go through a process, through a navigation tool that was created by the Los Angeles Mayor's Fund. And then there'll be an identification of, okay, you're eligible for all of these types of cash assistance, disaster, unemployment, rental assistance, CalFresh, the various types of resources that they may be available. Again, some of these are available for undocumented and documented individuals.
Excellent. It is clearly an issue in the area, and I appreciate the clarification. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm sorry we didn't get to that. I think we got to all the questions in the webinar today.
It's okay.
That were
You
submitted,
missed it, but I got it now, so I'm good.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Yes.
I think we're probably good now with the question and answers. I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time on a Thursday night to come and join us. Of course, you're welcome to stay if you'd like, but we understand if you don't. We just appreciate it so much.
Sue, if I could provide one brief closing remark, because I think the thread here was also how do we get information to you and how do we get things elevated to a higher level? We're always listening. Like our goal, and Marion Ensley, who's the area rep, who's always on these calls, is on. You email us and we'll make sure your voice is heard. And it may not be an immediate response, but we are definitely working on it and trying to find solutions to the issues you're raising. So I think Jenny assured you that, the mayor has heard about the soil issue. Any other issue that comes up, we're happy to just take an email or a phone call or a text message and see what we can do to follow up and make sure we're getting you the resources and the responses you need. as we continue on with this recovery phase.
Sue, it's Daphne. Before they get off, can I just raise something?
Yes.
Because it was about Las Casas and the sinkhole in the water, even though it was Department of Water and Power. The one thing I just wanted to say that people should be aware is Las Casas has had that problem at that intersection for a while, and it's had sewer problems and it's had drainage problems. So we're hoping that after things get rebuilt and as the street infrastructure is being redone, that people keep that in mind, because it's a street that's had a lot of issues over the years. Yes. Do I need to repeat it, or is that okay?
No.
Daphne, I heard you. I mean, having been up in the Palisades a few times and with Miriam, in hearing the different issues, I think long term we're aligned on that. Of just
okay. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much. We know that that's the least of it right now, but it's obviously been an ongoing problem, and the owner of that particular building in front of it just couldn't believe it, because it's been over the years, it's happened multiple times. So it just was another thing now. Thank you so much.
One last thing. So I put, again, my email is right next to my name in the Zoom. Please email me. So next Thursday, Bureau of Sanitation, Bureau of Engineering, they're going to provide a tour for Public Works Commissioners and our executive officer. I've been up there, like I said, but the other 4 commissioners have not, just to get a firsthand view of what the status is and what some of these infrastructure projects will be going forward. So if you have any suggestions of what you think we should see, I'm happy to coordinate that and make sure, our bureaus provide that as a stop for all 5 of us commissioners, just to see that as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So much, Vahid. Okay, we're going to move on right now to the regular part of our agenda.